Hi everyone, welcome to the first video in the series of framework videos from No Startup Hipsters. I'm Samir Rath, one of the authors. So today what I want to talk to you about is, are you really solving an important problem? Every time we hear entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to us or talk to us about the exciting startup they're working on, every one of them is convinced it's a billion-dollar idea. From companies that are trying to help you discover the happy hours in your neighborhood to companies which believe that there should be a centralized marketplace for gourmet meals from all around the US that should be shipped to your doorstep, because that is indeed a massive problem that you have that you need to solve. But at the same time, we're struggling with things like overcrowding, pollution, access to water, access to electricity, and stuff like that. So let's say even when you get to a point where you figured out you are indeed working on a problem that's worth solving. It's a wicked problem, it changes as you interact with it, and it's a very difficult and big problem. A lot of the times, unfortunately, as we try to diagnose such a problem, we tend to jump straight into solutions without truly understanding what's the nature of the problem. We try to treat symptoms rather than really treat the disease, understand and treat the disease. So right now I'm going to go through some steps that will help you figure out how do you really define, how do you get to the underlying problems inside the problem space. We're going to use an example of book retail, because this is something that most of us have lived through over the last decade, where brick and mortar businesses selling books have largely been replaced by either Amazon or clones of Amazon kind of business models. So let's look at the traditional book retail business. Now, what are some of the issues that existed? It was extremely time consuming to go and find your books because you didn't know which bookstore it was in. You couldn't readily check catalogs. You had to physically show up and ask for the title. Number of titles available at any given location and a limited. You couldn't really judge new authors because you didn't really know what the quality of that book was going to be. The inventory turnover from an operations perspective for each one of these bookstores, especially the larger ones with a lot of branches, there's a lot of time delay in information and shipping back and forth. They could over-order certain titles in certain areas where it didn't really match. That made it quite inefficient, which was compounded by the fact that they had quite antiquated supply chains. Finally, when new books were being released, or even old books were being publicized more, it was mostly mass marketing, trying to hit everyone to see if they would be interested in this new exciting book that has just gotten published. All these stores needed extensive display spaces, labor costs were quite high per sale, and the economies of scale were really limited. So when you look at such a problem space, these are breakpoints that you can discover in a very complex problem space with a lot of stakeholders: publishers, authors, readers, bookstores, and all the middlemen in between for transportation and logistics. So the first step is to really boil down to first find and observe all these insights and neatly jot them down and try to find if they fit into certain clusters, but there's an underlying theme. If you look at these 9 that I just outlined, they neatly fall into 3 brackets. Of course, this is a little simplified example for the sake of the video. What we really see about the book retail space was it was inconvenient, inefficient, and really expensive in the traditional business model. Along comes someone like Amazon, utilizing state-of-the-art architecture, technology, and really flipping the business model on its head. So having an online retail store for books suddenly makes it non-time consuming. Readers could browse books whenever they were free online from home. There was limitless supply of titles, and they could judge new authors by looking at others' reviews and ratings, which tend to be quite detailed. On an operational perspective, inventory turnover was a lot more efficient with central storage, up-to-date, real-time demand and supply information from all over their market, or which at the time was the US. And the supply chain was pretty sophisticated with very strong analytics. You may not be aware of this, but Bezos, the founder of Amazon, did hire people from Walmart, some senior executives, who focused on making the entire supply chain quite analytics-driven and very efficient. More importantly, marketing from an Amazon perspective was always very customized and personalized. It took into account all your previous purchases and things you have liked and things you have reviewed. So any suggestion that was made to an individual reader was highly contextualized. This, of course, improves the conversion rate of new sales. It had limitless display space, so it was online, all it needed was server space. Labor costs per unit were extremely low, And this unlocked a lot of economies of scale. And we have seen what has been the result of that. No more borders. Barnes & Noble is still struggling quite heavily against Amazon. Now, what did Amazon do? Amazon made it very convenient for the customer, made its own operations very efficient, and it lowered its own cost and made the entire operation inexpensive. Now, while looking at the book retail problem map, they also found another vertical that it directly mapped to, which was online music sales. Even though Amazon was one of the later entrants into this market, it captured most of the market share within a very short period of 8 to 10 months from the time they launched. So this is something to think about. What does your problem space really look like? Do you know the underlying dimensions that define what the users and the consumers that you're trying to serve really feel? Thank you. Have a good day.